Well, hello. Had a long day? Yeah, I did. It was definitely a doozy. So, one, welcome to Ask Audrey. And Ashley, you're going to ask me about the teacher-tutor mindset shift. Now, this is something that it's essential for any business. Right now, I'm gearing it towards teachers and tutors. But to be honest with you, I really want to gear this towards as many businesses as possible. If you're thinking about running a business, if you're thinking you're sick and tired of your current position and you want to make that shift, this is something that is essential that you need to do before you think about what your business name is going to be, what your logo is going to be, what your website, if you want to have a website, is going to look like. You need to make sure you get this situated right here, right now. So before we get started, I just want to let you probably like ask a question. Like if you're a teacher and you finally said, you know what, I'm not going back. Like this September came, you still feel kind of weird. You're wondering when is this feeling of anxiety going to disappear? So it's kind of like, if anything, in the comments, just go ahead and put an emoji that represents like, how do you feel or how did you feel when leaving the classroom? Like for me, it was a definitely needed to do. At the same time, I still have a little bit of guilt. That's going to happen. I've been out of the classroom for 4 years and I'm still feeling a little bit guilty of how I left. I didn't leave on a bad note, but at the same time, I still left my kids. There were some kids that were excited to get me the following year and it just didn't happen. But I know for me, my emoji was like a thumbs up because I had to make the change. I really had to go out there and just really be able to perform in a way that really grabs people. But enough of me hammering on. So if you're here and you're listening in, go ahead and hit hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, hit hashtag replay because it helps with the algorithm. All right. So I love when people say, I love your video. I'm like, yes, I just got started. So, that happens. But here's one thing that everyone needs to know when you are making that decision, really think about it. Whatever you're about to embark on, you are no longer a martyr. Teachers are in there. And I know a lot of parents are like, well, some of these teachers are trash. I hear it. I see it. But I'm going to say it. Not all teachers are in the same realm. But overall, a lot of teachers are asked to not only teach the content, but keep track of attendance, keep track of if they have like a learning disability, keep track of what is being offered, when is it being offered, and how is being offered. And even sometimes they're the ones, not the special ed department person, not the aide. Sometimes it's the teacher that has to really do the teaching with that special ed child, even though there's like 30 or 40 other kids in the classroom. But every time there is something that needs to be done, maybe an event, maybe a dance, and you're like, I don't want to chaperone a dance. But they always say, well, the kids need you. Well, do it for the kids. And they always put that little carrot in front of you. Do it for the kids. Think of the children. And you do all the time, to the point that you even see them in your dreams. You can't go shopping anywhere because they're always there. All of a sudden you hear Miss Connor in the distance. And all of a sudden there's a flood of kids come running at you. They're like, oh my God, do you go shopping here? And you're like, yeah, I do. But you have to kind of give up some things. Like now you have to learn to go from being a teacher where I constantly make sure the kids have pencils, they have supplies, they have a safe space, they have activities, I'm constantly talking to them. Sometimes I'm a counselor, sometimes I'm a coach, sometimes I'm like a parent, sometimes a segregate parent. But when it comes down to it, I gave up a lot to be a teacher. I gave up my weekends, my holidays to make sure I got all the stuff I needed to get my master's. Some people have just their bachelor's, some people have more than that. But when it comes to all that, it just really takes a lot. But now you also got to think no more lesson plans. And now I'm speaking as a tutor, not a tuition. Like some people do tuition, especially my internationals. They do tuitions where you're actually doing a lesson plan or you're planning a program. So that you're going to have to do some plans. But the type of tutoring that really is tutoring is you're more of an assistant. You're like the middle person that of that trifecta, which is the teacher, the parent, and the student. You're basically translating what the teacher is saying, really giving instruction to the student, and then giving the parent a heads up to maybe this is some things that you need to adjust to. That's tutoring. I don't do lesson plans for that. You tell me what you need to do. What are you currently working on? If I see things are missing, then I'm like, okay, we got to work on factors. Or, okay, we need to work on fractions. And then I pull that into our sessions. Because overall, you just need to understand that tutoring equals support. I am a support person. I am a person that like translate it. So you're probably saying, well, Audrey, I used to do that when I was in the classroom. Yes, but you don't have to do it at that level anymore. Now you get to pick who do you want for your clients. Now you get, and that's legal. I don't understand why people are like, well, I feel that's a form of segregation. Unless you're making it into a form of segregation, you talk to that person, you talk to that client, and you're working with them, and you notice that the two personalities are clashing. You you don't want to continue on with that. So you get to pick who you want to have in your repertoire of clients. You get to pick what areas of that subject matter that you really like and maybe you were really good at, but you weren't able to really teach it at that higher level that you wanted to while you were in the classroom. You get to do that. But then you also get to work on the business side of it, organizing, seeing how you can expand, see how you can reach other students, not just in your area, but in other sections as well. So, this is what I'm calling that teacher tutor mindset shift. If we don't have that proper mindset, we're going to make this into something that we don't want, that we don't like. And that is just so disheartening. So, before I get to the whole things, we basically have a couple comments. I got a couple thumbs up and hashtag lives. All right, everyone's in here. Thank you. But before we actually get started, let me tell you, who am I? Some of you may know me. Some of you be like, who is this chick? And I'm just kind of intrigued. Well, my name is Audrey Codner, and I'm the owner of ACG Math Tutoring. I was a classroom teacher for 18 years, and the last 4 years, even 2 weeks before the pandemic shut schools down, I decided I wanted to do something else and I needed to get out. I got tired of crying in my classroom. I got tired of constantly being told that I need to do this, this, and this. And then 2 seconds later, they decide to change things. I don't do very well with change, especially sudden change. So, with all that being said, I had to learn. And I know a lot of people see tutoring as like a little side hustle, and that's cute. You can actually make money and make a living doing it. I'm doing it. This is my fourth year of doing this, and I still love it. And I still appreciate it. And I love not only helping kids in my state or my nearby schools, I'm helping kids around the world. Now I'm also expanding to help other tutors with their tutoring businesses just so they can basically streamline it so they can focus on the content that they want to tutor with. I don't know where this gift came from, but I am so loving it. So when it comes to this whole teacher tutor mindset shift, like I said earlier, this is vital. So you have to refocus your brain before you can move on because maybe you left on a good note. Maybe you didn't leave on a good note. Maybe you just basically left your current lesson plan and you had your two fingers up in the air as you're speeding in the driveway trying to go home. But regardless of how you left, there is still that internal, especially it depends on how long you stayed in the classroom. You are so focused on, I get up, I put my lesson plan and my objectives on the board. I make sure my copies are done. Try to figure out when's the best time to make copies. As long as I have enough copies for first period, I can go to my planning period to figure other stuff out. What am I going to have for lunch? How am I going to be able to eat lunch? Okay, who needs assistance? I got to call parents. I breathe, because all that, just like a diet, you got to cleanse yourself before you can really jump into that diet. You need to get rid of all that negativity. You cannot carry that into your tutoring business. Oh, well, I remember this type of student was annoying. Mm-mm. Because you get to pick who you want to be in your tutoring repertoire, right? So by really refocusing, this is going to help you. Now it's me. I'm not worried about department chairs. I'm not worried about principals. I'm not worried about stakeholders. Now it's all on me. And if I may take from Eric Thomas, I can, I will, I must. If I want to keep things going financially, I have to believe in my passion. And this is a gift. Tutoring is a gift. Being able to break down mathematical concepts is a gift. Being able to reach a child that everyone said that this kid can't learn and they are learning with you, it's a gift. Just how you got into tutoring, I've seen people post on Facebook saying, someone just asked me if I knew how to tutor, and I said yes, and that's how I started. It doesn't really matter how you start, but it matters how you keep things going. Are you sticking with your integrity? Does this resonate with you? If it does, God, put a comment in chat. Share the live. Do what you got to do. you know? Because really, this is something that before you can do any kind of business, be it selling body butters and soaps and hair oils or hair extensions or clothing, whatever you want to do, you have to leave that battered teacher behind and just focus on the content and how you're going to move forward with that. All right. So, what I did was I went through 4 different phases. So, of these 4 phases is how I kind of did my transition. Now, I'm going to be truthful to you. Even though I've made the transition, I've been sticking with this online tutoring for 4 years, it still doesn't mean that I am immune to flashbacks. I feel like sometimes we have PTSD. I mean, there's times like a kid will just say something and it just triggers something like, whoa, but you catch yourself. But there was 4 phases that I did to help me make that transition. So again, if you're here live, go ahead, hashtag live. If you hit the replay, hashtag replay, because it helps with the algorithm. And if you feel like sharing it, go ahead and share it. The replays will automatically generate as soon as we get done. So, of the 4 phases, you might want to write this down. Phase number 1. First thing I had to do was just think about it. Just think about it. Think about, now it's the beginning of the school year. You have your kids doing an activity. Sometimes your mind tends to wander, right? And it always wanders to, do I want to stay? Or is it really time for me to go? How many times did you ask yourself that question this week? I know, people, it's Tuesday. But how many times have you asked yourself that question this week? Probably a good 3 or 4. And most of them were on the drive to work. Don't try to play yourself. Okay? You know exactly what it is. So when I think about it, I'm also thinking about the pros and the cons. Like, let's be real. Tutoring is not perfect. I will be the first to admit it. When I first started, I only had 4 students. I struggled. Yes, I struggled because I really didn't have the full gripping of the business side of it. Everybody knows the content. I can easily do the content perfectly fine. Not a problem. But when it came to the business side of it, the marketing, the onboarding, like I was doing invoices when I first started, not doing that anymore because I found a better system. I found something better that worked for me. I would go on to different programs, and there's like at least 4 different programs that I attended to. And a lot of them were basically saying the same things, maybe a couple of differences here and there. But when it came down to the business side of it, no one talked about that. No one talked about, okay, this is how you do an invoice. Well, how do I collect my money? How do I organize my taxes? I didn't know I had to do taxes quarterly. What was that all about? And then you get nervous. And then you're like, I can't do this. And the first thing you think of is, maybe I should be a substitute teacher. I can sub. I can sub. Yeah, I can do that. And that's fine if that's the route that you want to go. But here's the thing. Think about when you were needing a sub when you were in the classroom. Think about how your classroom looked when you came back after having a sub. Yeah, you spend a good 10 minutes of you walking in there trying to straighten your room up, thinking that a bomb went off in it. But you want to do that after you just stepped away? You might as well just go back to the classroom because you know there's a shortage. They don't want to admit to it because they got a lot of uncertified teachers that are teaching in classrooms. And trust me, I started off as an certified teacher. It took me 11 times to pass the praxis. I have no shame. I had no shame because I worked at it. And that's why I still keep my teacher certification now, because I worked my butt off for that. But that's when I was ready to leave the classroom. Me personally, I still wanted to teach. I wanted to educate. I want to be a part of someone's life because that's what you are as a tutor. You are a part of that child's life. You are helping that child to get over a barrier in their life so they can find some success. You're not just a person that's putting up math equations or putting up sentences or sharing stories and asking guided questions. It's more than that. You're helping train their brain and to grow their knowledge. So you thought you were doing that as a teacher, but because of all the excess administrative stuff, I felt like I wasn't teaching. I was like, when am I going to have time to teach? And when you finally get excited, this is the thing that used to drive me nuts when I was in the classroom. I put together a cool activity. The kids, I was kind of talking about it with the kids, and they're like, ooh, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, another colleague has a field trip. And almost all your kids are going on a field trip, and you didn't know about this field trip. And then all of a sudden, you're like, I just did all this work for nothing. And all I have is 2 kids. But what I did, I sat and I bonded with those 2 kids because you can't move on with teaching because no one could actually get a schedule together and to send it out and say, all right, heads up. We got this person that's going on the field trip. This person is going on the field trip. This person's going on the field trip. I don't have to deal with that anymore. Holidays, if I choose to open, I open. But when it comes down to the pros and cons, here's a major con. You're not going to work 52 weeks out of the year. You're not. You can sit here and like, oh, I can work 52 weeks out of the year. Oh, yeah, everybody can work 52 weeks out of the year. But here's the thing. The kids are not going to be available. I have secondary students and adults. When they're on break, they're on break. They're like, I'm done. So the summer, that's a hard time. Winter break, that week and a half, that's a tough time. Okay. Spring break, if you have kids that are in different states because everyone doesn't take spring break at the same time, that helps. But there is going to be a slight decline with so you're probably going to work at the absolute most, like 36 weeks at the absolute most. And that's something a lot of people are not saying. You can do summer activities, but here's the thing. The summer activities that you need to, if you're thinking about doing some kind of course or some kind of program for the summer, you need to start promoting that in March because then parents have a heads up and then you're constantly promoting it. You can't start in June because parents are like, I already got my kids and stuff. All right. So a little heads up. Write that down. But you're thinking about those pros and the cons. So number 2, put your thoughts into action. There's way too many people that are sitting here like, oh, I want to do this and I want this to be successful. I just need clients. Okay. What are you doing to get clients? Oh, I'm not doing anything. Well, here's the thing. You can have a hope and a prayer all you want. You can have the structure. That's great. But if you're not putting it into action, you're wasting your time. Like I keep telling people, you need to let people know that you exist. There's how many billions of people on this planet? No one knows that you exist. So without doing promotion, you can do something locally, but you can also use the advantage of the internet, social media platforms to put things out that represents you. You want to show your best side. You want to show multiple sides. I always like to show some vulnerable moments, but at the same time, I really need to get things done. Yes. So a user says March. Yeah. If you're thinking about doing anything for the summer, you need to start promoting in March because think about it. Parents are putting their vacations together. They're trying to organize what camps they're going to go to. So if they're getting these flyers in March and April, why not put it out early so people have an idea and say, oh, you know what? You really do need that. Okay, let me see when it fits in with everyone else. So then they can figure out and make that decision. So yeah, early as March, definitely. So going back to you have to put your thoughts into action. Stop waiting. So here's a couple of them. Write this down. There's a couple of programs out there. You can type it into any search engine, like tutoring programs, like how to build up my tutoring business, how to get clients, how to organize my tutoring business. You can go to Google and YouTube. That's where I found some of my people just doing searches. Everyone has some kind of SEO or search engine type of words, hashtags that they use. They're using that to find people, put it in there. But for me, it all started with the Facebook Live. I know what I'm doing right now. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. Before I became, something on LinkedIn, before I even knew LinkedIn existed, I just basically got my phone and that was the very first time, tried to follow along. Okay, that's how you go live. The beginning of the video, beginning of the live, it was like my ceiling. And then all of a sudden I came on and I told people, I'm like, hey guys, how you doing? This is my very first Facebook Live. I just want to let you know what I'm doing. I am deciding to be an online math tutor. So if you know somebody that needs assistance, and I pointed to like my diploma that's in the back, and I'm like, if you want to get one of these and you want to achieve greatness, hit me up. Something as simple as that. 2 hours later, my friend Amy reaches out to me and says, how did you know my son needed a tutor? I said, I didn't know. We put it together. That was my first tutoring person. And we met face to face because I really didn't understand the whole online internet at that time. First payment was $40. And I was driving home and I was like, I just got paid $40 doing something I like to do. I think I could do this. But it was hard because a lot of people, they didn't push the marketing. They talked about it, but they didn't really give me an example. So I had to learn while doing. So if you want to add that as a con, it is a con, but here's at the same time, it's also a pro. because I'm learning something. It's frustrating when you're trying to learn it and do it at the same time, but it's worth so much. But after I did all that, you know, I thought about it. Okay, got my pros and my cons. There was more pros than cons. Put my thoughts into action by going on Facebook, making flyers. Those were like two big things that I did. Now we come to the third one, analyzing my decision. Because you really want to ask yourself the question, like, does it really fit what I truly want? Like, even though you're just like, all right, I really want to do something in education. Okay, tutoring might be the thing. A lot of people say, oh, well, it seems easy. I'll be able to do that. Then all of a sudden you start seeing the business side of it. But for me, it's like, I thought about it. Okay, let me put some stuff into action. All right, I made a decision. Is this going to be a right fit? And the answer for me was yes, because I will still be able to instruct. I still able to inspire people, inspire and actually helping my students find their internal greatness. Some of these kids think I suck at math and I'm not going to ever get or do anything. And you're like, what are you talking about? Do you know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide? They're like, yeah, well, that's half the problem. Everything else is just rearranging things. We can do that. And when you show them and they're like, oh, and they learn to make their own connection, wow, right? And you're saying, well, I can do that as a teacher. Yes. How often do you do it? For me, I do it at every single session. Even when the kids, they think they know everything because I deal with older kids. I know this, I know this, I know this. Okay. So why are we here? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh. And then when you show them like one thing, I'm like, all right, you could do the distributive property, but if you're multiplying something, what's the inverse of multiplication? And they'll say division. Just divide both sides and just get right to it. And they're like, oh, I can do that? Like, yeah, there's multiple ways of getting the same answer. That's the one thing I love about math. You can rearrange numbers any which way. That's why data is just so interesting, because you could rearrange data to make it do anything. Anything. Heck, look at some of our scores. Oh, this is a great school. This is a great school. But a lot of kids did not pass that test. So I really take a look at, when it really came down to it, like, how many students am I going to have? What is my price point? Or am I going to have a variety of price points? And the only way I can do that is by talking to other tutors. So I had to find my community. I had to find other people that were tutors, not only at the same level as me, but I wanted some tutors that have been experienced in this. And that was the one thing that always got me about accountability partners. Now, I know a lot of people want to get an accountability partner, and I just say you need to choose someone wisely. It's almost like it's an interview. Like, don't just pick somebody because, oh, there's no one left. You want to pick somebody that's going to be just as wise as you are and has just amount of determination as you. They're not exactly like you, but you can see how you can play and push each other. So when you talk to people, not only talking to other tutors, I also talk to other business people, because tutoring is a business, just like how sports was a business. When I was in college, it's a business. There's not like, oh yeah, everyone gets to play basketball all day. It's so fun. No, no, no. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of challenging, just like tutoring. And I guess that's why I feel like I am pretty good at merging the two. Everything that I learned through athletics, and then after you done your 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears out of college, and then you play professionally overseas, and then you decide to stop, and now you have to reevaluate who Audrey is. The same exact thing is happening when you go from being a teacher to a tutor. You've been in the system for so long. You've been teaching the same course for years. You know it inside and out. It's almost boring you. Once in a while, you might change some things up. You know, how you have to have those extra meetings, the meeting about the email about the meeting, the meme. Ugh, I don't even want to talk about anymore with that. But then you have to change from that. And now they want you to stay for 30 plus years. But as soon as you get to year 20, all of a sudden the conversation is like, so what are you going to do when you want to retire? Or what is it that, how much longer do you think you have? And then all of a sudden they're slowly moving you out. They're giving you classes that you never even thought about teaching, and they're pushing you out. Does that sound familiar? If so, put it in the chat. Just a little emoji, like little angry emoji. So that's when it gets really into from a teacher to a tutor, and you don't want to bring that anger over. Because you're like, I remember this one time I wanted to present to my math department. I found a way that was amazing, that made my life so much easier in my classroom, and I was dismissed. Oh, we didn't have enough time. Instead, we were spending hours talking about other stuff. And then when it's come time for me to share, which I thought could be extremely effective for everyone, was just shunned. And then something else, and you're just shunned. It's almost like you're not part of the good old boys club. Yeah. So it's hard to kind of like get on with that. But if you want to do this business, stop thinking that, that there's major competition. Think of collaboration instead of competition. Who can I collaborate with? Who is going to be a person that is at my determination and drive? Instead of thinking that everyone is in competition. Oh, I better not share the secret because everybody's going to use it. Why are you worried about that? Because that leads right into my next part, phase 4. I need to find who my collaborative team is. Who can I go to? So even though there were so many programs that I looked at, finally, I just basically did a search on Instagram, and I found this lovely tutor in Canada. She's the sweetest lady. And she took the time, even though we were just messaging back and forth, she took the time to really be real with me. It's not like, oh, here's this is what you need to do so you can make $1,000,000. It was just like, this is raw, this is real. You're going to have kids, you're not going to have kids. This is what you should do. Make sure you have your terms and conditions. Make sure you have, like, what is your boundaries? What do you want from this tutoring business in order for it to last? Because things will change, but your integrity doesn't. And I am very grateful for that woman. So after I did all that, it just really kind of gave me that sense that, okay, this is going to be a different type of work, but it's still going to be work. So here's my thing. Going from being a teacher to a tutor is not easy. Cut it out. Anyone that thinks that, oh, it's going to be super easy, all you do is just babysit the kids for a half an hour or 45 minutes or an hour, and that's about it. No. What do you do when someone tries to cancel on you? What do you do when you provided a service and you still insist on giving invoices, and next thing you know, they ghost you? Or you just being a kind-hearted person, and you keep saying, all right, I'm going to keep helping this child. Okay, you figure out your finances and I'll be right here. Then all of a sudden you're down hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. And you're wondering how you're going to pay your mortgage, your light bill, your internet. But sometimes it's hard to make that transition, especially from being a martyr, because we gave everything to our kids. I give everything to my students because I believe in them. But here's my thing. I have to remind myself that if they don't believe in themselves, everything that I do is just going to go right away. Just it's a complete wash. So, because I always say, being a teacher reminds me of my playing days. And I've said that, the whole dedication of it, you're no longer an individual because coaches will break you down because you need to be a part of the team. But you fight. And I know me personally, I fought to kind of keep my integrity. I don't want to do things that's going to be harmful to other people. Even though I was a beast in the paint, I'm telling you, like, I didn't want to harm people. I want people to have joy. I want us to win games. And they said, in order for us to win games, you have to get rebounds and basically throw people all over the place. Okay. In order for us to win games, Audrey, you need to sacrifice your body to set screens. Okay. In order for us to win games, Audrey, you need to get a rebound, even though you're surrounded by 4 different opponents that are basically elbowing you, slapping you, biting you. Why are you biting? Gross. And sometimes even violating you. Yeah. It's tough in the paint. Okay. Just want to let you know that. Um, But when it comes to that whole beating down, this is the system. You got to fit. You got to fit into the system. If you don't fit, you're going to be looked as an outsider. And if you're an outsider, that means you're the problem. The reason why we can't advance is because you can't put yourself aside for the whole premise of the team. Same thing happens in the classroom. If this resonates with you, put it in the chat. If you don't want to own up to it, that's fine. But you know, and I know that's exactly what was going on. So now it's time for you to make that move. So as we're making this move, it's kind of scary. So if I may ask, what is your fear for making the move? Yeah, today is a long one because this is something that needs to be addressed. So when you get a moment, just type it in. What is your fear for making a move? Like mine was, I didn't want to leave my kids because I really connected with my students. I was somewhat involved with their, not their personal lives because they recycle. I can't keep up. This person's dating this person, that can't deal with that. But it's more so the families. My mom's sick. My grandma's sick. I'm not sure what to do. I'm sorry I was late for class today, Miss Connor, because my grandma's in the hospital and I had to walk from the hospital to here because I didn't have my card. I left it at home. So let me get you bus fare. But I didn't want to leave my kids behind. So we have one person, very brave. Thank you. My biggest fear was leaving something that was predictable and safe. That is so true. Because you were so accustomed to that routine. And like they said, all rich people have a routine. But here's my thing, the routine that you were doing wasn't benefiting you. Everyone keeps sitting here saying that, well, why did you leave the classroom, Audrey? Like you were constantly getting money and all that stuff. But when I looked at the amount of hours I spent designing lessons, I was at a school that you had to put your whole week's lesson in by Friday or you were dinged. It was just kind of like they always put like a threat behind everything. And yes, you always got your paycheck. But if you think about it, think about how many hours, not just your planning period that you had in school, just the mere fact that you were out shopping and spending your own money. 1 year, I spent $5,000 on school supplies, on art project stuff, on designs for the classroom, 5 grand. And they're giving us a stipend of what? 250? I think it's like around 500 now. What's that going to get? Pencils. And especially if you have kids that like to destroy pencils, I always make sure I give them those pencils back if they want a pencil. Because you have to be that force in that classroom. But that predictability is also what's killing you. How many of us are doing antidepressants? How many of us are basically exhausted? Like when Friday comes, you're just like, oh God. And it takes longer than a weekend just to adjust because you were on all day, Monday through Friday, on. And then all of a sudden you want to do a club or, oh, Miss Audrey, can you help be a sponsor for this club? Or can you help us with this club? Can we hang out here? Can we practice here? And next thing you know, you're in charge of a club. How did that happen? So it is tough because you do have that predictability. But at the same time, all the work that you were doing was not for you. You're making someone else money. You're bringing in like recognition to the building. But are they going to sit here and say, you know what, because of all the tremendous work that Audrey and the math department and the science that all the teachers have done, it's been great. What do they do to help us or to basically give us a little responsibility? Oh, let me get you some donuts. Oh, we had some leftover pizza from last night because we did something with the stakeholders. You guys can have it. I'm not your human trash can. That's what they did to us. Like every time, I don't want the donuts. Give me a raise. Give me something that I can pay my phone bill. Give me something that I can do something for myself. Fix my roof. Fix my boiler so I can get hot water. You don't know what everyone's situation is. What's a donut going to do? What's a bagel going to do? It's going to make me fat and it's going to make me sick. So that's how they kind of keep you down. By more sick that you get, more insurance you're going to need. That means that's more money that has to come out of your check. So I don't know. Thank you for agreeing. Because this is what they do. It's a constant cycle. And it's a cycle that needs to be broken. And the only person that can break it is you. And unfortunately, it means making that shift. So then soon enough, when you do make the shift, originally you are going to have fear. You're going to have that fear of rejection. And then as you get your clients and all of a sudden people are coming to you by word of mouth, not necessarily your flyers, or maybe it's a second party saw the flyer, shared the information to someone else, and it kind of builds up. Now you're going from fear of rejection to fear of success. No matter what, people, any type of change that human beings go through, there is always fear. Because you got to remember, fear and excitement are on the same spectrum. The only thing is, it's all based on how you perceive it and your mindset. So think of it as you're about to make any kind of change. If you don't want to dive completely in, I get it. I always say you should have a budget of at least 2 years before you make any kind of transition. So it's the beginning of the school year, start saving up. Figure out what your budget is. Start putting some money to the side. Well, it's kind of hard for me to put money to the side. Put something to the side. And if you want to grow and you want to dabble into tutoring, you can talk to me. Let me see if tutoring is your thing. Don't you want to have someone that you can brainstorm with to see if tutoring is your thing? I've talked to people that left the classroom and they're like, yeah, I want to be a tutor. And by the end of the discussion, next thing you know, we're buying a goat farm. Yes, that is a real life discussion because that person's passion was with the goat farm. He loved goats. He always wanted to be a farmer. Goat farm. Unite. And it's just basically a conversation. What are you passionate about? Because it's going to show. Because when you get clients in, and I'm telling you, when you get happy students, they become ambassadors of your business. regardless if I'm speaking to everybody right now, regardless if it's tutoring or if it's the goat farm or it's body shop or is it hair oils or is it real estate, regardless of what the business is, you just need one. If you can get that one client and you treat them as well as you would treat each and every client that you get, they're going to talk. They're going to talk to people at their schools. They're going to talk to their friends. Their parents are going to talk. Heck, when they're sitting out on the sideline of football games and all of a sudden you hear one parent says, this kid just can't get math. I don't know why. Oh, I got a perfect math tutor for you. Call Miss Audrey. Plus, she understands athletes. Like, she's flexible. Oh, it's amazing. I love her. Love her. Love, love, love. That's what you want. But it starts with your mindset. Can I do this? Are you passionate about it? Will anyone pay for this? Would you do this without additional training and you would just put your whole heart and soul into it? Just those two questions. If the answer is yes, I want to do this. Yes, I have the determination and drive to see this grow. Guess what? You got a business. Now put it into action. How are you going to do that? Mind map. Write some things down. I write tons of things. I got books all over this place. Not just these, but there's also some journals and everything off to the side. And I'm always writing ideas. It's to the point I'm telling you, all I need is some yarn and it will look like a serial killer hunting down, manhunt type thing going on in this room. Don't let the nicest behind me fool you. But because I have that mindset that I can do it, because you're going to have a lot of your teacher friends sit there and tell you, oh, you'll be back. Ooh, no, baby. No. I'm going to see this through. Because I know in a couple of years, a couple people are going to ask me about tutoring. Like, Audrey, can I really do this? I'm like, yes, you can. But it's up to you to want to make that choice. So what happens? You say, well, Audrey, I'm in those areas that math, like how do you get clients? It's so saturated. People, this is not a biscuit. Okay. So there is a lot of math tutors out there. There is a lot of English tutors out there. There are some people that are awesome at doing the business part of it. But guess what? They are not you. They're not you. I know there's a lot of math tutors out there that are stellar. Definitely will run circles around me. But here's my thing. A lot of them are not confident enough to go after tutoring. They know that they have the knowledge, but they don't know how to break it down for kids. I do. I know how to break it down and how to make the association. I can help anybody learn a concept, regardless of their abilities or their disabilities. And they'll be like, oh, that was easy. Yeah. That was too easy. No, it wasn't. But when it comes down to it, you have to remember there's no competition because they're not you. And guys, you're not going to be able to handle 1% of the world population. Why are we acting like we're scarcity around here? There are people, children being born every second. There's one. There's another one. Oh, that was triplets, Mazel. Constantly being born. So they're going to eventually need your services, some of you guys, in the next 3 years, next 2 years. But work with the 2 or 3 kids that you have now. But I bet you cold hard cash the reason why you're not advancing right now with tutoring and you've been tutoring for a bit is because people don't know that you are a tutor. You're afraid of social media. You're afraid of the internet. How else are you going to get the word out? But you have hopes and dreams of aspirations of getting international students, but they don't know you exist. So what are we going to do about that? So Let me tell you what you're going to do about that. You're like, what are we going to do about that, Audrey? So here's my announcement. This is what you're going to do. One, you're going to join my Facebook group. Yes, you are, because it's happening. Unless you're already in it. But if you're already in it and you have friends that you know needs this extra support, almost like an accountability on steroids right here, why don't you share the information to them? The name of the group is From the Classroom to Online Tutoring Virtual Community. I didn't want to make it into a group. I really want it to be a community. I want people to be able to network within and to talk and to discuss. I don't mind. It doesn't make sense for you to promote inside the group because they're all tutors. You want to promote to people that are going to buy your service. So if you want me to look, like last week, I did a flyer review. I'm trying to do a little more events into that group. So we did a flyer review last week. You show me your flyer. I take a look. Let's tweak this. Let's tweak that. Let's add this. Let's add that. And then here's some suggestions of where you can send your flyer. How many other programs are doing that? And I did it for free. I want you to be successful. There are going to be some paid events, but am I going to break your back? No. Am I going to break the bank, your wallet? No. Because I know you're struggling because you're just making that transition. But again, I don't know what you got in your pockets. But it would be nice to have somebody that you can actually brainstorm and get ideas, and then you take it and run with it. And if you have like, oh, Audrey, I was wondering if I can talk to you about X, Y, and Z. All right, sure. Let's meet up. I'm more than willing to do that. So that's one. You go into the Facebook group. And if you're like, all right, I'm already in the Facebook group because I got like, I don't know, 7 or 8 different people today and yesterday, which is fabulous. But say that, all right, I'm ready to learn how to basically generate more people into it. So I did a lead generation challenge, I want to say a couple of weeks ago. And with that lead generation challenge, it was a 5-day challenge. I broke everything down. Whereas, yes, I did talk about the mindset, but I also talked about, what is tutoring, the whole ecosystem about tutoring. I also talked about how you can use Facebook groups and also TikTok, because I've actually had some success through TikTok as well. And then also talked about the onboarding and how to use social media and just little things like who to suggest. So I do have the replays of those for sale. It's like $7, really. Like I have it. I can send, let me see if I can share the link to it. Let's see what happens if anyone needs it. I'm in like the whole course for $7. And you can watch it anytime, and you can ask me questions. You can ask those questions at the end of it as well. And let me see if I can copy and paste. You gotta love technology. I'm gonna try to find something that is a little bit more. So I put it in the chat. Let's see if it will go. Some areas may be able to see it, some may not. But this is basically where you can go and get that whole lead generation thing, as well as tomorrow is another event that I'm just doing just in my group. It's not going to go to all my other Facebook accounts or Instagram. It's just going to be for the members of From the Classroom to Online Tutoring. And we're doing an event with my new friend from England, Sharon Wood. And she's actually going to be sharing like how to create those content calendars. And I know there's tons electronic content calendars. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. But there's just something nice and simple about certain concepts that you can do no matter where you go. So this is the flyer for this one. So if you want to, just go ahead and go into my Facebook group, fill out the questions, and I'll let you in. We're going to be starting that at 2 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, so then we're going to like try to figure out, like, I'm basically going to be the student and she's going to show me exactly like how she plans, not only for just 1 month, but it's something that you can fill out your whole calendar year. So if you want to take a part of that, go ahead and join my Facebook group. Again, it is going to look like this. From the classroom to online tutoring. Again, it's a virtual summit. Even though it is a place for like math tutors, I welcome everyone because I just remember the years that I spent being a math teacher, and it was always the hardest thing because math teachers always had to try to fit into everyone else's dream. So I just wanted to give a place that math tutors don't have to work so hard to fit in. They'll just generally do. We speak the same lingo, but our lingo is very similar to everyone else's. So in all, that's about it. Yeah, almost an hour. No wonder I'm about to pass out. Okay. So overall, how you doing? You know, are you hanging in there? I didn't mean for this to be almost an hour, but I just really felt that a lot of people, before you start looking into going another direction, you really need to get in touch with who you are, what you want, and make sure your mindset is geared towards achieving that new career, regardless of what it is. It definitely needs to be done. So, I'm hoping you're doing all right. I'm hoping you have some takeaways. You can go ahead and put that in the chat. Even during the replay, you can put it in there because I really want to know how I can better support all my teachers that are trying to make that transition. It's not going to be easy. Everyone thinks it is, but it's not. And I mean, I'm still making plays with it because a lot of people are like, oh, Audrey, you're so confident and everything's all good and you just look great and this is awesome. What makes you think I'm not struggling too? Everybody struggles. Everybody's got bills. Everybody's got ideas. Everybody's got passion. So, how do I keep things going? One, I believe in myself. That's huge. Because when I was in the classroom, people say they believed in me, but their actions were completely different. So I had to make the move. I had to, not only for others, but also for myself. And I think this is the one and only time as a teacher I actually did something for me. And I know I wanted to stay in education. If people want to leave education altogether, that's fine. Me personally, I was like, look, I spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy trying to be a teacher, and I am not just going to just piss it away. So that's basically it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with me. I am so sorry that I took an hour of your life, but hopefully this was beneficial for you. You can make the change, regardless if it's tutoring or something else. This is the only life that you have. Please go after what you want. Don't wait until, oh, I gotta wait till the kids are older. I gotta wait to this, gotta wait to that. Look, I'm basically single right now. And I get it. When you're that one income family, it's tough. If you had that two income family, you could probably feel a little more at ease to make this change. I get it. But when is your life going to be about you? Because if you don't support yourself, who is? So again, I'm Audrey Codner. I'm from ACG Math Tutoring. Thank you so much for coming to another episode of Ask Audrey. And be ready for tomorrow when I'm doing two tutors talking. I have two episodes, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. So you're just going to be Wednesday. But on Thursday, I'm going to be joined with Miss Denise. I'm going to say it again, Denisa Gilly. And she's going to share with us like how she's doing her tutoring business for K through 12. which I'm amazed at how she's doing this. So if anything, go ahead and tune in or go ahead and hit the replays. Again, you can see all of the replays if you're really interested on my YouTube channel. Just go to Audrey Codner, ACG Math Tutoring, and you can see all the podcasts and all the entertainments and all videos. All right, take care and have a wonderful night. Take care.